Have you ever felt invisible, as if it simply did not exist even in your own family? Maybe this feeling is more common than you think. But the truth is that, no matter how hard it may seem, many of the people living in the experiences of the silent delete, it hurt you deeply. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out now. You will be surprised. It's not just the parties and the invitations are lost, but something much more subtle and is painful to the message that you or someone else do not care that someone is not a part of that circle. Just imagine a night where everything seemed to be normal. An old woman who has always been there for us, the most important moments of your family, he receives a piece of news that causes her to stop in time. She found out that her granddaughter, organized a special celebration, a birthday party for someone who was very close to her, and she was not invited. At first, she thinks that it might be a mess. But when you see all the photos and details of this celebration on the social networks, then the pain becomes the real. How was it possible for her to get out of something that is so important, as she has always been around and now seemed to be completely invisible? The feeling of exclusion is not currently isolated, but a message is silently echoed in my soul. It is as if all of a sudden she realized that, in spite of all of the love and dedication to his place in a family that was wiped off, it was not a question as to leave a request or of a technical failure, but rather a conscious choice, or perhaps a neglect of which he speaks so much more than words. And this is where it becomes all the more difficult to support the following. You understand that this exclusion is not an accident, but a decision is silent, that bears a weight that is emotional a lot. Stay with me, because this story reveals the fact that many of the people living in it, even if they don't always have the courage to talk to you about it. Let's explore together. The pain is invisible. The feeling of not belonging, which is much more than a party, has been lost. And in doing so, I hope that you will be able to reflect on their own experiences, about her quiet gestures, as they can harm you more than harsh words. Because deep down, that the story is an invitation to look beyond the surface and to understand the impact of the exclusion, and often hidden, which now threatens the lives of many. If you can identify with the story, or do you know someone who has gone through something similar, I want to invite you to let us in the comments which one you tapped on this story. Share your experiences, views, opinions, or even their feelings, and helps to create a true connection between all of the people that you came with and the channel. Your participation is what makes this space to grow and to reach more people and to strengthen our community, that the pursuit of understanding and empathy. If this topic resonated with you, don't miss to enjoy this video. In this simple gesture is a way of showing that you value this content and want more stories like this. In addition to this, if you wish to continue with this kind of thinking, if you subscribe to the channel, therefore you will stay up to date with what we are preparing for it with affection to help open the eyes and hearts. Your presence here is the key, so that we can get together on this journey of empathy, learning, and transformation. So, keep with us, because there's still so much more to be explored, and the best is yet to come. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely in this layer is invisible, it is often overlooked, and that is the true key to the transformation that we seek. Have you ever noticed how our daily decisions have a direct impact on our way of thinking, shaping who we are and who we can become? It is as if each were a little seed sown in the soil of our subconscious mind, and that the seed of the time, it germinates and gives rise to our actions, our attitudes, and above all, our deepest beliefs. And what is more interesting is that many of the seeds do not come from a conscious decision, but the influence of the external standards, legacy, or the experiences that we have as a child. The truth hides behind all of this is that many times we are caught up in a kind of a mental loop, which is fed by the limiting beliefs that seem so natural that we don't even notice your presence. Are those sentences in which the internal repeat without realizing it? I can't. It's not for me. It's always been that way. This sentence, although it may seem small, they function as true to block the invisible, which will hinder our growth. And the big reveal is that the real change starts right on the relation of the gospel accounts. It takes courage to question what we have been taught, to challenge what has been considered to be tamper-proof, and thus to make room for a new narrative, one that is more powerful and reliable. In the course of the journey, the one thing that is clear is that the transformation does not happen overnight. It is a building of the day, and it requires the full attention to your decision-making easier. For example, you choose to wake up with gratitude, even in the face of difficulties, since it is a one step with a big impact. Or, you know when we are sabotaging negative thoughts, and instead of feeding them and replace them with statements that demonstrate our full potential, these small actions that seem insignificant at first glance, they have a cumulative effect, and it can profoundly alter your state of mind and, as a result, our common stock. However, for this to happen the way that's genuine, it's vital that you have a true connection with our inner selves. In this connection, it is a journey of self-discovery, where you'll uncovering the layers of stories, fears, and desires that too often we don't even know what cargábamos, and, in the process, come up with the revelations of the more striking, the discoveries that challenge our own perceptions and they invite us to look beyond the surface. It is at this point that we realize that as our first mentality, it can be a very powerful tool for transformation on or in a prison that keeps us in a comfort zone, even if it causes us to suffer. And when you understand it, an inevitable question arises. Why then do so many people stay stuck to the same limitations, even though I know that there is infinite potential inside of them? The answer to this lies in the resistance to change, fear of the unknown, and the difficulty of leaving old standards, even if they didn't serve us anymore. It's a fight to the invisible, an internal struggle between who we are and who we can become. And a lot of the time, this battle was fought without being noticed, as it happens in your own mind, behind the scenes of our conscious awareness. This is where you enter the real power in the transformation of the becoming aware of this dynamic. We can begin to take on a more purposeful, choosing consciously the thoughts, the emotions, and the actions that we take in the direction you want to go. All of this underscores the importance of open-mindedness, a closer look at our own making, and a willingness to be true for it to evolve. Because, at the end of the day, a more radical change doesn't come from magic formulas or solutions, but in the daily commitment to get to know you better and to challenge the things that limit us. And in doing so, will not only change the course of our history, but to also inspire those around you to do the same, thus creating a chain of impacts that can transform lives. It is a journey of self-transformation, which calls for courage, patience, and above all, a sincere desire to evolve, even when your path seems long and full of obstacles. If you have noticed any of these patterns worked in your life, you know that the first step is always the most difficult to recognize. Recognize your own vulnerability to the belief that you are limited and the fears that I freeze. But it's also the most liberating, for it is there that begins with the possibility of real change. And in the course of this journey, we have found that the greatest impact, it happens when you decide to take control of our narrative, one that is rewriting our stories, words of courage, hope, and determination. After all, it is the journey of transformation is about to reach a final destination, but rather about learning how to enjoy each and every step, every lesson, every revelation that brought us closer to the best you can be. He comments that it makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this topic because I realize that not many people are even aware of the importance of taking control of one's own story, even if they don't lead to some sort of self-sabotage in silence. Those little inner voices that tell you that you're not able to, that in the past, it is higher than our abilities to date. It is before you can define who we are today. And at this point, the truth hidden often turns out to be, it's the biggest battle we wage is not outside but within us. It is in our minds that take place in the larger impacts of the conflicts in which they can both strengthen the U.S. to halt. When we begin to understand the power of the transformation, we realize that the decisions we make on a day-to-day has a direct impact on our development. Each choice, no matter how simple it may seem, it is an opportunity to strengthen our brand new story. It's as if you were writing a story of self-overcoming, in which each chapter reveals a new part of our deepest truth. And this is the truth. The more it seems hidden by the years of self-doubt and fears, he was always there, waiting to be discovered and accepted. The question is, how do we give voice to such a nature that many times, and it is suppressed by the external noise and the fear of making a mistake? The answer lies in our ability to look beyond the surface, to delve behind the scenes of our minds, and to understand understand the roots of our limiting beliefs. Many of the times, and carry a set of beliefs that have been built in the childhood influences that have been imposed upon them by others, or even traumatic experiences that we were trying to hide it. These roots, even when they are not faced, to become as weeds that grow up to hang, and can destroy our self-confidence and feeding a question. But when you have decided to meet this interior garden, everything changed. We started by making a pruning conscious, eliminating the stuff that no longer serves us, and to plant the seeds of hope, courage, and self-acceptance. And this is the moment of transformation, which are the revelations of the most impressive. We find that the change is not something that is external. It depends on the circumstances and factors that are out of our control. It is born within us, to the commitment of rewriting our history, to make the author of their own destiny. Every step we take on this path of self-discovery is a proof of that. We are able to transform our emotions, our thoughts, and therefore our actions. And in doing so, we begin to perceive the reality around us is also set in a way that is almost magical in order to reflect this new version of ourselves. However, this is a journey that requires courage on a daily to demystify the old patterns and embrace the things that are still challenging. It takes courage to acknowledge our own vulnerability, to admit that sometimes we fail, but the important thing is how we get up after every fall. After all, it is the real strength is not the absence of mistakes, but the ability to learn from them and move forward with more wisdom. In this process, the mind becomes an ally to powerful, a place of possibilities, where one can create a narrative of victory, strength, and hope. And so, over the course of the journey, we have learned that the most lasting impact comes from the inside out. That's the true transformation happens when we choose to no longer be a hostage of the past, but the authors of the present day. And in doing so, we open up space for a more full, more authentic, where we are to live according to what they believe in, without the shackles that once bound them. It is during this time of self-knowledge and in-depth we begin to understand that true freedom is born in our minds, in our decision to rewrite the story with the words courage and self-esteem. So, it is a reflection of how many times we have been the protagonists of a story that is not its true. What are the stories that we still have that need to be revised, rewritten, transformed? And more importantly, what will be the next step that you can take in order to consolidate this new phase, this new version of yourself? Because after all, the journey of transformation that is ongoing, and each discovery brings us closer to who we truly are, free from the constraints imposed by fear or doubt. And in the end, it all comes down to one thing: the decision to take the next step, the courage, the hope, and the belief that the best is yet to come. He comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is just there. At the heart of this decision is that a lot of people miss, or even worse, get stuck in a comfort zone that you don't even know that it exists. The truth hidden behind those choices, it's often the biggest barrier we face, is not in the outside world, but inside we are the same. It's the little voice whispering to you that it might not be the time, that the move is risky, too hard, or that it is the unknown that is dangerous, that it's hard to deal with. And it is precisely here that our way of thinking comes into play, as it is a powerful weapon, or with a chain to recognize that hold them to the same routine, the same doubts, the same fears. Thinking of changing many of the times, it brings up the image of the great achievements in the achievements of great ones that seem to be so far away from our daily reality. But the truth is that every change starts with a decision, a conscious decision to look beyond what your eyes can take at the moment. It is as though all of a sudden people started to realize that the impact of a decision not to be measured only by the immediate results, but for what they reveal about who you truly are. And many times that the revelation is to be uncomfortable, because you need to have the courage to face your own limitations and to challenge their own limits, and most importantly, to accept that the journey of transformation is a continuous process. And so it goes to the issue of the decision. Because in the real world, most people live in a routine, scheduled for the automatic choices, which seem to be minor, but that together build a path, and almost predetermined. These choices are often made out of fear of making a mistake, because of insecurity or a sense of feeling that we have today. And that is enough, even if deep down we know that it is something more, something better is out there waiting to be discovered. When you begin to understand in this play, we see that the change is born out of the courage to make decisions that challenge the status quo. They are the ones that force us to get out of your zone of comfort, which we put on our own. The truth is hidden. The one that a lot of times we would prefer to ignore it for fear of facing who we really are and what you really want. The impact of these choices that are not revealed only in the short term but in the journey of evolution. Each and every decision, with sincerity, hope, and with a bit of boldness that is like a seed planted in the fertile soil of our mind. And believe me, these seeds have the potential to transform everything around us, to mold a new reality, to open doors before they seem to be behind closed doors. But in order for that to happen, it is important to understand that the processing takes more than that will require a willingness to look beyond the surface, to question all the truths that you were taught, and you can connect with your own purpose. In this connection, the purpose of this is, in fact, the one that gives you a sense of the whole of the journey. When we align our decisions with our deepest values, the things that really matter to us, it's more clear to you, and even in the face of difficulties, and it is this clarity that gives us the strength to continue, to persist. Because deep down, we know that every step taken in this direction, it is an opportunity to bring us closer to a version that is closer to the truth, the stronger and more self-aware of themselves. During this time, we have discovered that the transformation is not something external, something that happens in the world around us, but rather a journey to the inner and a change in mindset, which is reflected in the way we look at life and deal with the challenges, and to believe that the best is yet to come. And it is this insight that leads us to understand that even though the path is full of obstacles, each and every decision, with courage, this is an opportunity for growth. It's a time to reveal our own truth, to dispel the myths we create about ourselves and what we can do. Thus, in each step we take is no longer a standalone act, and shall be a part of the narrative by a story of transformation that can be inspiring for those who are around us. After all, it is the real change happens when you decide once and for all that you are not going to be swayed by the fear. You'll face the unknown, with the hope that you believe that the best is yet to come, even if that path will be full of uncertainties. And at this point, our minds start to open yourself up to new possibilities, new opportunities, and an inner strength you may not even know you had. It is at this point that the day-to-day becomes more than just a simple exchange of information. She becomes an experience of self-discovery and connection with all that is true in all of us. And in doing so, we've learned that the most important decisions aren't the ones who took it with his head, but the ones that stem from the heart. It comes from a certain quiet that it makes it all worth it, even if that path is unclear. It is here that we understand that the transformation is not a destination, but a state of mind, a mentality that is getting stronger every conscious choice, every step of courage, to be that which we take in the direction of what we really want in our lives. He comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the true essence of this transformation, goes much further than you can see on the surface. Many people believe that the change is simply to change his clothes, to adopt a new routine, or even just make a list of your goals. But the truth is hidden. The one that very few know is that a genuine change starts in our mind, in the way we interpret the world and ourselves. It's like a reset for internal application silently that happens behind the scenes, many times without our realization, but one that ends up by casting every decision, every response, every relationship. This is a journey of self-discovery. It is such a revelation is continuous. You will begin to notice that many of the limitations that I was carrying was, in fact, mentally constructed. The stories we tell ourselves is often based in fear or self-doubt. And if you notice that a door is open with the opportunity to rewrite their stories to create a narrative, more empowered, more real, it is at this point that the transformation is no longer something foreign and goes on to be an in-house expertise and a much deeper connection with who you truly are, without masks that are imposed by the environment or by the expectations of others. Think of the transformation as well as a mindset that requires courage, because it means confronting truths, often uncomfortable. You need to accept that not everything that is learned over time serves the purpose of what you want right now, and that acceptance is the first step to real change. When we begin to understand our patterns of thinking, to have a direct impact on the quality of our vibration and our energy, we see that we can choose if we are going to feed the thoughts of the doubt and trust. This is the choice for a more subtle look. It's the difference between someone who stays in the comfort zone of those who decide to move forward, even in the face of the fear and the uncertainty of it. Transformation, then, becomes an exercise in self-awareness and conscious choice. Every thought that we cultivate, every emotion that we allow ourselves, shapes our mood. It is in this field that is invisible and often overlooked, and that is the real battle takes place. When we realize that we are the authors of our own stories, we can begin to take control of our emotions, our actions, and our choices are the most profound. It is a journey of self-transformation, which requires perseverance, resilience, and, above all, open-minded, to learn from their mistakes without letting it consume them. This also shows the fact that many avoid, that real change comes not from the outside, but from the inside out. And when you realize this, we realize that our daily decisions, however small they may be, they have a giant impact on our development. Every decision is an opportunity to reinforce this mindset as a way to strengthen your commitment to your own journey of growth. And when you do that, you start to realize that your life is in a constant change, a chance to be the versions to better ourselves, without the need for outside validation or instant results. After all, it is this evolution that it is a continuous journey that comes from a genuine desire to become the best version of it possible, while seeking to align with our dreams, our actions, and our lives more deeply. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because they understand that the connection between the mind, emotions, and actions is what really makes all the difference in the time to create a lasting change. When we align with these elements in place, everything flows in a way that's more natural, more in harmony. And it is this harmony that is the one that provides the support for the change to be temporary. But if it looked like part of the EU, it is as if it were a symphony built and where each of the element has their role, their function, and the end result is a life that is more authentic, more fulfilling, and more aware. And at this point, we realize that the real difference is a matter of the state of mind of the spirit, which we choose to nurture each and every day. Simple actions that, together, they make quite the journey. Whatever your goal, this is the understanding that we are the architects of our own, a transformation in power. It allows us to abandon the excuses and to overcome the limitations of self-imposed and move forward with courage. Because deep down, it all starts in the decision to look beyond what the eye can pick up, challenging our own beliefs and creating a new narrative in the built-in boost and follow along. This is the true magic of the transformation. It is the first within ourselves and in our minds and in our hearts before they manifest to the outside world. And when you understand it, it is the more light, and as much as possible. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the truth hides behind all this journey of transformation. That is exactly how our decisions are shaping the impact that we want to deliver. Too often, we spend years looking for answers outside, trying to change what is happening around us, when, in fact, in the most powerful going on inside of us. It's as if our minds were in a stage. Where is the roadmap of our lives? It is written where every decision that we make, it is a word that has a direct influence on the plot in which we live. This understanding is crucial for us to understand that true transformation begins with the courage to rewrite this script, to challenge what has been said and believed in for such a long time. On a journey of self-discovery, we realized that a lot of the limitations that we have are not enforced by the outside world, but rather by the internal narrative, which, very often, it was built in the kindergarten, at school, or even in experiments that seem small, but over time, they have created a sort of invisible wall in all of us. And this is where a disclosure is important to recognize that these locks is the first step to take them apart. No point in trying to change the behavior and course or the hook before we know where it comes from, that inner voice that insists to tell you that you're not able to, they don't deserve it, and that it is not good enough. The voice, in the majority of the time, they are the result of unconscious decisions we make in the course of a lifetime, and many of them are based on fear, doubt, or even in an attempt to please someone else or to fit in. For this reason, the change requires a conscious decision to confront those limiting beliefs, to question each and every one of them with a certain amount of curiosity and courage. When we begin to understand the nature of the stories within, we have the power to rewrite them and to create new narratives that are aligned with who we truly are and who we wish to become. This is a kind of alchemy, the emotional, and where we can make the weight of the old truths that are hidden in the sources of strength and motivation. It is a process that requires patience, because it is not an instant change, but in a steady stream, where each and every small step in reaffirming our autonomy and our ability to make decisions that will be in our history. And then, when you do this, something extraordinary happens. You start to see the impact that we have on the world. It's not a question of luck or circumstance, but of choice. To decide to act, decide, and think in a different way, you decide to open yourself up to new possibilities. There are simple steps that create a chain of impact that reverberates in addition to our own space. It's like a seed that can be planted with care and attention, giving rise to a tree strong and fruitful, able to provide shade, food, and an inspiration to others. And it is this transformation of the interior, which seems to be so intimate, it has a direct effect on the manner in which we relate to our productivity, happiness, and even our emotional health. All of this supports a central idea, the that is going on inside of us to define what happens on the outside. It's not a question of luck, fate, or chance, but to the informed decisions that strengthen our connection to what truly matters to you. And once you understand it, you start to realize that we are all responsible for the shaping of our narrative, the transformation of our doubts into certainty, and our own limitations and possibilities. Every decision we make, however small it may seem, it is a foundation stone in the construction of what we call life. And it is precisely at this point that the journey of self-transformation reveals its major findings, as it tells us that the impact of what we do in the world, it starts in the decision-making to be truly authentic with ourselves and others. Now, I want you to go even deeper on this topic and to explore how the dynamics of the decision-making and the impact that it connects with what we call a growth mindset. This mind is the master key, which unlocks the hidden potential within each and every one of us, just because she teaches us how to see the obstacles as opportunities to learn, to see failure not as the end, but as a part of the process of evolution. When you adopt a growth mindset, we take a crucial step towards the freedom of the emotional and the ability to have a positive impact on everything around us, because we understand that our development is continuous, and that every time she brings a valuable lesson, and that's the most important thing, is the willingness to move forward, always with the hope and determination. This is a change of perspective. It's like a new lens, one that shows the possibilities which before seemed to be invisible. When we are able to see beyond what the eyes can see, we realized that the impact of what we hope to create, not only a question of great actions, events, or extraordinary, but rather a series of small daily decisions, make choices that strengthen our growth mindset, and that, taken together, will create a real revolution in the house. It's as if every positive thought, every action of bravery, it was like a seed that, if grown with care and attention, turns to the land of our life, in a fertile breeding ground, for the outputs are amazing. And how much more we have decided to nurture this growth mindset, the more powerful it becomes, the more we connect with the higher purpose of our existence, that is, to evolve, to learn, and to leave a positive mark on the world. This is the connection between decision-making, the impact, and the mindset, is the one that really reveals behind the scenes of our transformation. When we understand that we all have the power to choose our response to any given situation, we have become the protagonists of our story. And in doing so, we realize that every step taken in this direction, it is a statement of confidence, an assertion that we are able to shape our own realities, to create an impact, to inspire others to do the same. It is a journey of discovery, where each revelation brings us closer to more of what you actually are able to achieve when we act with purpose, courage, and authenticity. And in that moment, it becomes clear that the true magic of the transformation is not something that is external, but the internal decision to want to change, to challenge, that it was a tax, and the building of a new narrative that takes us beyond the limitations that you often don't even realize they have it. This is the foundation for a lasting change, which was created from the inside to the outside, and that is to be done with care. It becomes an irresistible force, capable of impacting lives, communities, and the world. And at the heart of it all, there will always be that one decision to be silent, but you choose to believe that it's a new chapter in its history. It is possible that the impact of what we hope to leave you with is real, and that, above all else, we are the authors of our own destiny. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation doesn't just happen on the surface. It is rooted in the very essence of who we are and the decisions we make throughout the day." Oftentimes, people just let yourself go by the fast pace of day-to-day, by the external environment, and you end up realizing that the power switch is on. And above all, in our way of thinking, it's as if every thought, every belief, as it were, a seed, to be planted with care and attention, you can flourish on the stalks that are capable of generating a real impact. And it is this change in the inside, this is the connection to our deeper truth, is that it really gives us the strength to carry on, even in the face of difficulties, for the more challenging ones. When we begin to understand that our everyday decisions shape our destiny, it changes everything. It is not a matter of luck or chance, but a responsibility. The responsibility of choosing the thoughts that rise up. We reason. We will do the believe in one's ability to direct the course of history. It is at this point in the processing, it becomes a continuous journey, a conscious evolution, and in the process, many of the revelations emerge about what's really important about who you are when nobody is looking, what is stopping us from moving forward, and it's also about the invisible forces that can drive us. The revelations that come from such a dive, inside many of the times, they are amazing. They will show you what is the biggest obstacle is not outside, but within us, in our own resistance to change, at our questions about the potential for a new beginning. It is as if each and every layer of uncertainty to be a trap that needs to be removed, revealing the true essence of what has always been right there, waiting to be recognized. And in doing so, we begin to see possibilities where before you could only see limitations. From then on, everything takes on a new meaning. Each and every decision, every step, it will be an opportunity to reaffirm our determination to evolve and positively impact the world around us. In this connection, the truth is hidden within us all, is the one that will lead to lasting change. It is not a passing episode, a change in the moment, but it is a reconstruction of the whole of one's mind. It is as if we are rescheduling our beliefs and align our core values with what you actually want to achieve. And in the process, we learn to trust our intuition, to hear that voice inside you that has always known what is best, even when the world insists to the contrary. It is a journey of self-discovery that reveals the behind-the-scenes of our story. Where every choice is made with a conscience, it becomes a very important part in the construction of a new reality. To understand the real impact comes from within, we realize that our strength is not in the greatness of the action in isolation, but is the consistency of purpose that is aligned with our essence. This understanding leads us to think about what you really want to leave behind, not only the achievements of the materials, but it is a legacy of authenticity, perseverance, and hope. With each step taken in this sense, it is an affirmation that we are able to create a new narrative, a story that transcends time, and to inspire others to also find you the power you carry within you. And so the journey continues and is always revealing new layers of potential that is waiting to be awakened. And it was in this moment that we began to see that the truth is hidden, that is, in effect, a light that had always been on the inside of us, waiting for the right time to shine with all its intensity. In this light, the path of decision-making, the most sincere and heartfelt, and the impact that it really does make a difference. The more you connect with this inner source, the easier it is to discern what is true, what is needed, and it really doesn't matter. It is a transformation from the inside to the outside, which is reflected in the outer world, creating a chain of changes that are properly nourished. It becomes an irresistible force of the impact on the social, cultural, and spiritual needs. In the background, it's all about having the courage to recognize that we are the authors of our own story, and that every choice is a page that we can rewrite it at any time. This awareness gives us the freedom and power of, as we understand, that we are not bound to the old versions of ourselves, but rather in a constant state of evolution. With each new decision, every thought is aligned with our core values. That is, a seed is planted in the direction of living a life more full, more authentic, and more meaningful life. And so, the transformation is no longer a distant goal to make it a daily practice, continual self-transcendence. Suddenly, we saw the impact of what we don't want to is not the result of chance, but a result of our determination to pursue a course of self-discovery and authenticity. It's as if every step is a conscious take us to a whole new level of understanding, and showing that the most powerful force of transformation in our ability to make decisions, act, and persist, even when the scene looks like it is challenging. And it is this unseen force which is born of the Spirit is aligned with our deepest truth. You have the power to change lives, communities, and even the world. world from the inside out. He comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the truth hides behind all this journey of transformation. It reveals something that a lot of the times we went by unnoticed. The burden of our daily decisions and how they will shape not just our destination, but it's also in our nature. For each choice, as small as it may seem to you, it is like a seed sown in the soil of our minds, and the impact of these seeds are only revealed over time, often in a surprising way. It's as if you're constantly writing the story of invisible, a story which, if you understand its power, it can lead to a freedom very few realize. For those who really achieve lasting change, come to understand that transformation is not the result of large, isolated acts, but a series of small decisions that are aligned with your deepest values. And that requires courage, continuous, and with a willingness to learn and accept that the journey will be a comfortable one. In fact, it is the resistance, discomfort, and that is where the greatest opportunity for growth. Why, in the face of obstacles, with an open-minded and a heart is firm, and we are in practice in defiance of our own limitations and at the same time strengthen the core. And this is where it comes to the importance of self-knowledge, which is often the key to unlocking a new way of looking at the world and to position itself in the face of adversity. When we have a deep dive into our own stories, we can begin to understand the patterns of behavior that, until now, they were covered up by the automation of the routine. We have found that many of our reactions and making the decisions that are influenced by the limiting beliefs that have, over time, have become absolute truth, feeding the cycle of auto-sabotage or for their conformity. You might recognize these beliefs is the first step to ask them to demystify them, and finally to replace it with a new narrative, one that is more in tune with our true nature. In this process, the mindset of growth turns out to be a very powerful tool. When you come to know that all our mistakes are not failures, life's challenges, but the opportunities to learn, we begin to look at challenges from a different perspective. Each and every stumbling block into a lesson, and each and every question as an opportunity to research in-house. And with that, your confidence starts to get stronger. Because we understand what we have within us, the potential to overcome any obstacles, it is enough that we decide to act for the purpose and self-discipline. This change of attitude doesn't just happen overnight, but it is a result of the construction of the daily, the choices that strengthen our brand new mindset. At the same time, it is important to recognize that this journey of transformation, it also shows us the behind the scenes of our lives, is often hidden under a layer of the surface or of the establishment. The revelations, which come from the inner silence of the questions we ask ourselves when things seem to be at odds with what we have in mind. It is at this point that it's actually more of a deep show, bringing you to understand that it can be confusing, but it is essential for us to walk with authenticity, because if you don't attend to what's behind our masks, we will never be able to really evolve at all. And then, when they realize that the truth is hidden, we are asked to make choices that are more conscious, to take up a position of responsibility for the impact our actions have on our own lives and in those around us. The change is not simply a matter of willpower, but in alignment with who you truly are and are committed to keeping that connection alive. It is as if the decision were to be a piece of a jigsaw puzzle, which when used with care, and it reveals a clear picture of our purpose and our potential, and even in the face of difficulties, and this is the perspective it gives us the strength to move forward, knowing that we're building up to something more solid than any of the circumstances the moment has to offer. For this reason, the search for self-awareness and a mindset of growth, it is a day of revelations, a constant. The more you go, the more we realize how much we are capable to turn to our own lives, just for a change in our internal decision-making. And in doing so, we begin to have an impact on the world around us in a way that you may not even know are possible. Every step in the direction of authenticity and the courage of a seed of hope for a more dramatic impact, a transformation that begins in the and spread to outside of us. And all this, in a way, it's proof that the real difference is not an arrival, but it's a constant evolution, a journey that is nourished by our willingness to learn, to let go of what limits us, and embrace that which makes us free. He comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation doesn't just happen by accident or because of a single decision-making time. It is a motion that requires a commitment to monitoring and encouragement for your daily. It is as if each and every choice that that we make it a piece of a jigsaw puzzle by a piece of you. To be seated, to reveal a clearer picture of our purpose of our lives is more authentic. And it's this journey of self-discovery is often reveal hidden truths, the ones that you prefer to hide out of fear, insecurity, or for the sake of convenience. Many of these truths are related to our deepest emotions, the fears that we have since childhood, to a belief that is ingrained in our minds for a lifetime. And it is precisely at this point that it all becomes a game's release, a battle between what we have been conditioned to believe and what you really feel we want and we strive to. The courage to face these truths are hidden is the difference between those who only dream of a change and the one who is really committed to living it, day in and day out. It is in this movement that we find a real impact, one that reverberates not only in the U.S., but it influences everything around us, in our families, in our workplace, and in society. Transformation, therefore, is not an isolated event, but a series of decisions that are going to accumulate, thus forming a track of the progress. With each obstacle, each of the potential problems that can be overcome, all this serves as a mirror to show us where we are stuck with our own set of limitations. And it's a revelation, powerful. And because a lot of times we forget that it is the only one who can set us free from these chains, we are the same. It's a matter of taking control of our emotions and how to reprogram our mindset so that it will work to our advantage rather than in the jet. To deepen our reflection, we find that the impact of a real transformation, not only in the change of the surface, but the change of perspective, the ability to see beyond the surface. It is at this point that the concepts of authenticity, vulnerability, and courage are woven together to create a new narrative with the story written by a who really decided to take on a leadership role. And that story, no matter how challenging that is to say, it is one of the biggest events that we are on the right path, even though this is not always linear and clear of obstructions, because deep down, every step taken with intention to, and it's truly a win that strengthens us in our journey of nurturing is our hope that each and every day we can become better versions of ourselves. And so, as we think about all of this, it is clear that the key is not in the mood to look within, to confront our own shadow, and to embrace that which we love, and determination. The true transformation are born of this encounter, true to who we really are, and it only comes when we choose to act according to this new understanding. Each and every action, small as it may seem, it is a part of that building, a brick in the building of a life that is aligned with our deepest values. And, in the process, we find that the impact we can make is infinite, because it all begins with the courage to be yourself, to let go of the patterns that is on the trap, and the following are confident in the direction they really want to achieve. It is in our relationships with others and our relationship with ourselves, or our contribution to the world, and the journey of transformation. It is an experience of self-discovery that shows us the power that we have to create a reality of the most real and meaningful. And at the same time, it teaches us that it is this evolution, that it is a construction site daily, with a decision set to choose on the growth rather than decades, the actual rather than the mask. When we allow ourselves to see beyond what meets the eye, discover which is the true occult is often what prevents us from moving forward. But it is also the key to open the doors before it seemed to be insurmountable. And then, perhaps, the biggest challenge is just to keep that connection to the truth within you, even when the outside world tries to convince us of the contrary. It is a matter of nurture that spark of hope, to nurture a faith in our capacity to change, even in the moments of greatest doubt about it. Because deep down, this is the essence of a journey, a constant search for the alignment, so the balance between the way we think, feel, and act. And in doing so, we find that the impact of what we want to achieve, it starts within us, to expand, to touch lives in a way that we can't always predict it, but you can certainly feel it. So, anyone following this debate, you can begin to understand that true transformation is not a destination, it is a building. Daily small actions and decisions, you are aware of this. With each step, this is an opportunity to reaffirm who we are, in fact, to reclaim our lives and to bring about a new reality, more in tune with our dreams, with the most profound. And, in doing so, we found out that our authenticity, it is a never-ending source of power, can inspire others to break free from your own prison will not be seen. Because, in the end, the most lasting impact is one that is born out of an inner journey, a journey that is worth every effort effort, every tear, every achievement. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. If you've come this far, it's because I really connected with the idea of authenticity is a powerful and potentially life-changing." And, this is a story that we've shared as just a reminder that each and every one of us is a light, single, and ready to rock even in the most difficult moments. So, if you get this message, it made sense to you, just leave a comment saying, "I'm with you till the end of love." Thus, we are able to create an exchange is even more genuine for it here. Oh, and if you think that this can help someone that you know, share too without having to force it on the bar. Sometimes a simple gesture, it already makes a world of difference. Before you move on to the next video, I want to reinforce how much of what we build here, this is done with care and intention to bring value to your life. So, if you still haven't subscribed to the channel, so this is a good opportunity so you don't miss anything that we post in here, always with the same themes, they are invited to reflect on and grow up. Take the opportunity to leave your like, because it shows us that we are on the right path to creating content in a way that makes sense to you. There's a video right here on the side, which complements this subject. You can click and keeps me there. I'm pretty sure that you will like to continue this journey with me. After all, it is the path of self-knowledge. It is the more light when we're together, right? Then, the next, the content. And to remember your authenticity, it is the greatest gift.